So this is going to be the first comparison video in the highly anticipated, to some extent, probably not anymore because it took so long to get out, but Layton Clone comparison review. And now this is the first video, so I decided to break this down into multiple videos because otherwise it would take forever. And I thought it made more sense to do it this way. And the reason is there are so many different clones out there. So what I decided to do is I'm going to have the original Layton, and then I'm going to have the clones or the inspired bys versions of Layton that aren't from your kind of stereotypical clone houses. Okay, so not Dua, not Alexandria, not King Fragrances, not Sensual Obsessions. That's going to be a follow-up video. This video is going to be comparing the Middle Eastern clone houses and some that aren't Middle Eastern, but the more kind of mass-produced clones of Layton. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare those, tell you which one I think is the best, and then take the kind of winner of that, put it to the side, and then to whatever extent there is a winner, review the clone house versions that aren't mass-produced clone houses. So again, King Fragrances, Alexandria, Sensual Obsessions, Making Sense, whoever else. I think I got Squirts, and which a lot of you probably haven't heard of. Monarch has a version I have. I don't know. I have so many clones. Montaigne. So anyway, that will be a follow-up video. Okay. And then I'll kind of, price per value or price point, longevity, how close it is, all that stuff. At the end, I will have a ultimate winner for whatever that's worth. Okay? So anyway, let's get into it. Actually, real quick, before we get into it, I just want to let you all know and why this was taking forever to get out. I'll just be brief because I don't want to take up all your time. I am working on, me and a colleague are working on starting a podcast. And so this is kind of taking a back seat. Not that I won't still be doing this, I will. And honestly, I hope to be doing it more regularly, actually scheduling it in now. But the podcast is absolutely going to be a priority. And so for anybody who's interested, it's going to be a legal podcast that is presented to people who are not lawyers. So we're going to break down different topics, some of them controversial, abortion, gun rights, Miranda, other Fourth Amendment related stuff, any big major cases that are coming out, especially now since there has been a lot of changes. We're going to give the break down the opinions on those Supreme Court cases, the background on them, whether we think the justices got it right, the dissent, the majority, concurring, whoever, and kind of what they relied on, and just make it more hopefully digestible, as well as give viewpoints on, if you do not agree, what can be done, if you choose to potentially try to change it. And then we're going to also do other, so me and my colleague had both been in the Ohio Innocence Project, helped get people out, who were wrongfully incarcerated. And we're going to have a series on there as well. Part of it's going to be those individuals, the exonerated people coming on and telling their stories. And we're going to have links for donations and stuff to try to help these people get back on their feet. We're also going to have the director from the project come on, and he wrote a book and hopefully speak about that, break down a lot of the issues that ultimately end up with people becoming wrongfully incarcerated. There's a lot of different things tied to psychology that ultimately are responsible, by and large, for these wrongful convictions. So that'll be part of it. We're going to have a mental health and psychology part that's also related to the law, pop culture, stuff like the Johnny Depp trial. There's going to be a whole lot, okay? So anyway, once we launch that, we're going to basically, we shoot our first video tomorrow, so it'll be launching hopefully within a week. Once we launch that, I will post about it on here. I'd appreciate, again, if you follow it. It'd be very well appreciated to help kind of get it to take off. Comment. Again, these topics are going to be controversial. You may not agree with us. I might not agree with my colleague. That's fine. You might not agree with each other. We encourage debate. We encourage differing viewpoints. After all, that's the point of a lot of this, is to have hopefully respectful debate and to kind of be able to digest this and have more informed viewpoints on these matters. But absolutely, it is not something where we want to silence anybody or make it look like it's partisan in any way. So feel free to engage in the comment sections on these if you do choose to follow the podcast. Say your piece. As long as it's not just somebody being out there just to attack people for no reason, but if it is actually based on an opinion, doesn't mean anybody else has to agree with that opinion, but it's based on an opinion that it has some sort of actual thought put behind it, and it's just not just attacking somebody, then absolutely we encourage that. Okay, so I want to get that out there anyway. I do not align, for what it's worth. I know some people might not agree with me, and that's fine. I don't align with either party. I think both have significant issues. I think two-party system's flawed in general, but it doesn't matter. So again, I am open to, that doesn't mean I don't have viewpoints and don't agree with both parties on certain topics, but I don't align. I don't see myself as either or, especially now. There's significant issues with both parties in my opinion, but regardless, be appreciated if you follow that. Again, engage, comment, dislike, like, I don't care, that's fine. And honestly, honest feedback, it'd be great as well. So that's that. Let's get to the review. I don't know if it's taking too long. This is Parfums de Marly. It's called, or by Parfums de Marly. It's called Layton. This is probably their #1 seller. Certainly the most popular in Fragcom. It is an Oriental spicy fragrance. It's widely seen as being a compliment monster, up there with Creed Aventus. As you can tell, I'm a fan of this fragrance. Top of having 8 million clones, I got 3 or 4 bottles of it. So, I'm a huge fan. It is an Oriental spicy fragrance. It has some citruses in it, apple, bergamot. There's lavender, there's cardamom, there's geranium, there's woods. So it gives off this, there's geranium kind of comes off, and you'll hear people speak to it, and I'll speak to it as well in these clone videos I've done in the past, because it's kind of an issue for some people. The geranium kind of gives off this almost menthol vibe, minty kind of, people say Listerine or like Vicks Vapor Rub. Some of the batches of Layton give that off in the opening. Now it dissipates pretty quickly, and in the older batches it was more prominent than the newer ones. Some of the clones it's very prominent, some of them it's not. So anyway, that the geranium can come off that way. But anyway, overall what you're getting is this nice spicy Oriental fragrance with the spices and the woods. Make it still lean, make it so it's a vanilla fragrance, especially with the cardamom, but allow it to be more masculine, okay, where it's still sweet, it's seductive, but it still has this kind of spicy edge to it. I love it. A lot of times Parfums de Marly in general will get hated on for being, too mass appealing, too designer-esque. That's why I like the house personally, because I wear fragrances to not only enjoy myself, but I want to smell good. So I don't want something that's super divisive, unless I really like it. I mean, I'll wear it maybe, but like this, I like to smell good as well as enjoying what I smell. And really what you're getting with Parfums de Marly is just very high quality, mass appealing fragrances. To me, it's a win-win. So I know some people don't like that. It is what it is. Now anyway, this is, again, I had several different batches of this. I even have a 2016 that I can compare to. But initially, I'm just going to, these are all slightly newer. I think it's a 2019 batch. I'm going to spray this, and then first I'm going to show you what I'm going to be comparing in this video. Again, this is the initial video. The first one is by Lalique, and this is white and black. This one's gotten a lot of hype recently. The other ones are all Middle Eastern houses. We have another one that got really hyped, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. It's Detour Noir, Al Harbrain. I don't even know how to. Al Harmain. I don't know why I thought it was a different house than it is. As you can see, it's faded off. And then Loyal Agar by Luxador. And then there's going to be one more. So this first video is going to be 4. And the last one, this is probably the most comical in my opinion. It's called Layton. And this by Mason Alhambra. So this one, that's why I was getting confused with Alharmi. This one is, they don't even like, I don't know. It's kind of like Fragrance World, where you don't know if they're trying to like trick people into like buying it thinking it's the real deal or not. Obviously the bottle's made to resemble it. It's not close. There's certainly, I forget what the other, I think it's Fragrance World that even tries to make it look even more like the real bottle. The box looks nearly identical though. It's over there, so I'm not going to grab it right now, but I don't think y'all really care, to be honest with you. But anyway, so those are the 4 we're going to be comparing. And so we'll just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to spray Layton first. Love Layton. So this particular one, it's a newer batch. The menthol is there, but it's not overpowering, okay? It's not something that's like, oh my God, you know, but it is there. Again, it dissipates pretty quickly, pretty fast. So this is Layton. This is the Mason Alhambra. And initially, when you first spray these two, what you're going to notice, Layton is not quite as, it doesn't project as well, okay? It doesn't jump off as well as Layton. Also, it's not as menthol, it's not as methylated smelling. And the apple, the green apple note in the opening is not as juicy, it's not as prominent, okay? So that's just the opening on those two. Now, the next one is a leak in white, and I have a leak white and black. I've done a video on this previously, if you haven't seen it though. The initial opening on this does not smell like Layton, okay? You don't get that menthol opening at all. You don't really get much green apple. It almost smells like a different fragrance. It has just like a flatter, creamier vibe. It almost smells like there's a fragrance that's at the top of my tongue. I can't think of that this smells like. But anyway, it doesn't resemble Layton. It's like a creamy, kind of spicy fragrance. And in the opening, you're going to notice it's really missing the mark, I think, more so than any of the other ones in that initial opening. Just kind of like a creamy vanilla fragrance. You're not getting the green apple, you're not really getting that menthol, but some people might prefer that. This is Detour Noir. This has been hyped through the roof by Ashton, by a bunch of other channels recently. For some reason, I can't smell this on the strip. Okay, there we go. Again, this is lighter. It's not as prominent is Layton. It doesn't come off as much. It definitely smells more like Layton than the leak white and black. You know, you can tell it's supposed to be Layton from the get-go, whereas the leak white and black, I think, really misses the mark in the opening. Layton is certainly probably more in line in the initial opening, smells more like Layton than any of the other 3 right now. This is Loyal Agar. So a lot of you have seen my review on this as well. I am a huge fan of Luxador. They also make Prince, which is a really good clone. It is an Aventus / Oud for Greatness, or yeah, Initio Oud for Greatness hybrid, and that smells really good as well. So anybody who's seen my review, this is immediately going to smell like Layton as well. You're going to get some of that methylated kind of opening. You're going to get the green apple. This is just darker. It's denser. It's richer. It's heavier smelling almost. You know, it's not as I don't want to say airy, but it's not as what is the word I'm looking for? It's just kind of, it's darker in general, okay? It's not as sweet. The citruses are dialed back a little bit, and it's more spicy than the original. It smells fantastic, though. It does smell really good. It's like Layton with a twist, basically. It's like what you would think a Middle Eastern Layton should smell like. It's spicier, heavier, and the citruses are dialed back just a little bit. All right, so let me speak to performance on all these. I think Al Harmain, so Layton, my batch is a Layton. I always get pretty good performance. I know people say sometimes they don't. This is a newer batch. I still get about 7-8 hours. Easily gets me through a work day. Lalique White and Black, I want to say I got about 5 or 6. It was okay. And Al Harmain Detour Noir, that I got about around the same, 5, maybe 6. It sits pretty close, so after the first couple of hours. Loyal Agar, that'll get me through the day. Now that one projects like crazy for the first couple of hours. I mean, it's like Sauvage Elixir projection. The first couple of hours, you really you gotta be careful of where you're in. I put that on and got in an Uber and was going to like the bar, play some pool. And I remember I was kind of like getting almost nauseous myself because I could smell how strong it was, and I didn't go crazy with the spray. So Loyal Agar projection-wise, is the best out of all these, followed by, I think, the original Layton. Then it would probably go Layton by Mason Alhambra, then Detour Noir, then Lalique White and Black. I think Lalique White and Black to me projects the least, followed by Al Harmain Detour Noir, then, like I said, Layton, then the original, then Loyal Agar. So projection-wise, we're looking at something that's going to really pop off the skin, especially for the first couple of hours. Loyal Agar is going to push the best. Okay. Now, I think if we're looking at the closest, as far as once the openings, the closest, in my opinion, is going to be Layton by Alhambra. And the reason is, again, it's got some of that methylated opening. You can smell the green apple. Unlike Lalique White and Black, it actually smells like Layton. Detour Noir is probably a close second. I would say Loyal Agar is probably third in that line. The reason I say that, so it's beating out Lalique White and Black, is just because it does take its own twist on Layton. Okay, it's spicier, it's heavier, it's more dense. I like that a lot, but it's like a darker take on Layton. So 1-to-1 as far as the opening goes, if you're looking for which one's closest, I would say Layton by Alhambra is the closest, followed by Detour Noir. But they're both really pretty close. Lalique White and Black misses the mark, in my opinion. I think Loyal Agar takes it third by Luxador. Okay, so performance, projection-wise, this is the best. Closeness in the opening, this is the best. Followed by this being close second. Okay? Now, dry downs. It's the original Layton. It's laid in. Lalique White and Black, it is not a Layton clone. It's people that say it is, I don't get that. It definitely is trying to rip off the Layton DNA, but it is certainly not a 1-to-1 clone. Detour Noir is missing the mark a little bit too. And then Loyal Agar. So here's the thing in the dry down. In the dry down, I still think this is the closest. Okay? Ironically, which I didn't think this would be. But this is the closest in my opinion. The furthest is this. This is the worst. If you're looking for a Layton clone, this is the worst as far as being an actual clone of Layton. This, surprisingly, while in the opening misses the mark a little bit, and not misses the mark, but takes a turn, I think it's really close in the dry down. And then that would be followed by this, which is honestly for the price isn't bad. So now you got to look at price point, okay? Layton obviously is Layton. You know, you can get it as cheap as 125, 150, depending on where you're getting it from. For a 4.2 ounce bottle, not bad. That's the cheapest you can find it. Loyal Agar you can get, now this comes in a 2.7 ounce, so I believe it's an 80 mil, but you can get this for about 35, I want to say, 40 bucks on eBay. I got it from the Oud store. Detour Noir, I believe you can get for 25, 30 bucks for 100 mil. And then Layton White, I want to say was about 50 when I got it. And then Layton was about 25 or 30, I think. So, price point in mind, closeness. If you're looking for a pure, close clone of Layton for the price point, and you want it to be as close as possible, I think we can just start by eliminating the Layton White and Black. I think it's the most expensive out of probably all these alternatives, and it's not even close compared to any of the other alternatives. So this, to me, is not worth getting. So let's just eliminate that right out the gate. I don't even want to waste my time talking about it. And then we are looking at these other options. These are all good options. They really are good options, okay? If you're looking for a clone of Layton, and you do get the initial alcohol blast in this, I will say that. That's the main difference you're going to notice when you're comparing it to the real thing. But as that starts to fade, it's going to get really close. But you would be price point, price value. I think it'd be close between these two. If you're looking for all around price point, because this is like 25 bucks, I think now we're 27. This was close to that. Super cheap. But in my opinion, this is my favorite. Okay? And here's why. This is, I think 35, 40 bucks I paid for this. The projection is unreal on this. But moreover, not only is the projection crazy, I get good longevity out of it, and I like that it is a Layton twist. I like that it's darker. I like that it's heavier. It's like a more masculine, slightly less sweet version of Layton. And I really like that. I mean, if I wanted Layton, I got Layton. I also got 8,000 clones of Layton. So this is Layton done differently, but it's close enough to where it still gives you what you like about Layton, but it just kind of has this little dark touch to it, the spicier, darker touch. And it's a beast in projection. So if I were to only keep one of these three, eliminating Layton White and Black, it would be this. But if you were somebody who wants something that's going to be the closest to Layton, and I'm not talking quality-wise, there's obviously none of these are going to be as close in quality, it's going to be one of these two. Now, again, you're going to get the initial alcohol blast in this. And it's when you smell it up close, you're going to notice definitely a quality difference. And I'm going to spray this on my other wrist just so we can do a comparison between these two directly on the skin. So, and that's the thing. So I just sprayed this, okay? This had the initial alcohol blast in the opening, and it's kind of off-putting, but it goes away. But it smelled like Layton in the opening, okay? I just sprayed this on my wrist, no alcohol blast, but it smells like a flat, like a diet Layton. Think of like Diet Coke and how that compares to Coke, and that's like the scent. Like it's a flat Layton. It's a Layton-esque, but it's like it's watered down. Whereas this is more of that richness that you get from DNA or that you get from Layton. So I would still pick this. I would pick Layton. If you're looking for the closest, that's also cheap. Go with Layton. If you want something that's just gonna push. That's still cheap and doesn't have that alcohol opening, get this. Loyal Agar is my favorite. But again, if you are somebody who doesn't have Layton and you just want the closest clone that's affordable, get Layton, okay? But this projects better, performs better, and it's a nice twist on the DNA. You really can't go wrong with all three of these, though. If you have Detour Noir, unless you're a huge Layton fan, if you're a huge Layton fan, you probably already have Layton, but I don't think it's worth getting the other ones. They're all pretty good. Now, if you have a Layton White and Black, think that that's Layton, absolutely. Throw it in the trash. No, I'm just kidding. But these other ones are certainly worth checking out. Yeah, I mean, the Alhambra, the Detour Noir is just flat. I mean, I'm up against the skin and I can still kind of barely smell it. It sits super close, doesn't really perform well. Layton does a good in between of everything. And then this is just, especially those first couple hours, is a freaking beast. This comes off your skin, comes off the clothing, everything. So that's that. The winner, and my favorite, is L'Oreal Agar. The best all around, if you're looking for a one-to-one clone, price point, price proposition, all that stuff, is this, in my opinion. And I will link links to where you can get all these in the comment section. Let me know if you have any of these, what you think about them. And yeah, I'll be doing a follow-up video. Again, like I said, the podcast will be starting hopefully by this weekend. We're going to be shooting it tomorrow. And then we just got to edit and get it up. But like I said, I'm not going to filter how I feel, but I'm also going to try to make it as unbiased as possible. Obviously, these are hot topics. People have opinions. I get that, and we want that. So feel free to say what you think. Feel free to give just feedback in general on the podcast. All that would be appreciated. Again, unless it's just super disrespectful for no reason, we encourage that input. So anyway, hopefully this helps you all when you're trying to decide which one of these 8 million clones to get. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you next video. And like I said, keep an eye out for the podcast. Once it launches, I will do a video on here, just linking it to there. So if those of you who want to go support it, even if you don't agree with my viewpoint and stuff, I'd still would just appreciate, you just following it or disliking the video. That's fine too. Heck, it's engagement. I don't care. I just appreciate you taking the time to watch. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you.